Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Carla and I make videos about showing up for yourself. By showing up for myself, I managed to lose over 180 pounds, and I share video content here about personal development, about weight loss and weight management, about self-care, fashion and beauty. If that's the kind of thing that you like, smash that subscribe button for me, will you? In today's video, I am continuing on my series of how I lost 183 pounds and the different elements that I did of showing up for myself that helped me to do that. And in today's video, we are talking about the only exercise that I did to help me lose weight. And I mean the only. I cannot tell you how many times I have been asked, is this honestly the only exercise that I did? Is this the only thing that I did? How did I not go to the gym? Why did I not go to the gym? Etc, etc, etc. And yes, I walked my way to 183 pound weight loss. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my history with walking, about my journey of walking through my weight loss and my life after, and how I still continue to walk, and also then I'm going to give you some tips and tricks. In today's video, I'm not going to be discussing all the different things that I think that you guys need to have or that have helped me with walking in terms of clothing and stuff like that. I'm going to save that for a future video, but this is really kind of like a back end. We're also working with natural light today, guys, so hopefully everything is okay, because I have 25 minutes to film this video and then mom duties kick in again. So right, let's get into it. Let me talk about a little bit about my back history with walking. So I, as you probably have heard me say a million times, had been overweight my entire life. And part of being overweight my entire life was that I hated walking my entire life. Now, I mean, I hated walking. I would be the person who would park as close as humanly possible to the door of anywhere that we are going. I would drive like 4 minutes down the road and sit in 20-minute traffic as opposed to walking for 10 minutes. I hated walking. And there's a couple of reasons. When you have 23 stone on a small frame, well, a small frame, I'm pretty tall, I'm 5'8". People always ask me that. And a bit. When you have that amount of weight pressed onto your frame and onto your feet, to your knees, to your hips, obviously there can be a lot of physical pain. But also, I did not know how to walk. Now, you might be thinking, how did you not know how to walk? Like, everybody knows how to walk. Apparently there's actually form to walking, like there is to going to the gym, like there is to running, like there is to dancing. It makes sense. But nobody ever teaches us how to walk properly, do they? So I was walking wrong my entire life. And as a result, I constantly had pain in my legs, specifically on the outer parts of my shins and calves. My God, did they hurt. The pain, God, I remember that pain so much. So I just hated walking. Now, when I was embarking on my weight loss journey, I knew that Body Slims, the program that I did, I'll leave my video here about Body Slims, I knew that a large portion or a third of their ethos and a third of the methodology to lose weight is to walk for 1 hour every single day. And I started Body Slims in 21st of January 2020. And so I knew that I would need to be able to walk, and I was not going to be the person who couldn't walk, because I'm very like that and I'm very stubborn and resilient. So I decided that I was going to start walking from the 1st of January. That was it. I was going to start walking 1 hour every single day, and I was going to basically get my stamina up so that when I started Body Slims, I would be okay. I didn't do that in a way that put much thought into the process. I just went out for a walk, gung-ho, and tried to do it as fast as I could, and ended up in so much pain, and came back and was like, God, how am I ever going to do this? And that's terrible. So I was trying to do that the whole way through for the 3 weeks before the program started. And then back when I did it, it was in person, and there was also a group walk in person with Body Slims. Body Slims only available online now, just FYI. But there used to be a pier walk, and everybody who lived in the area would meet together and walk the 3 piers in Dún Laoghaire or 2 piers in Dún Laoghaire, and then that would be, you go for a cup of coffee or something afterwards. So on the first one of that, I refused to be the last. Now, I was probably the heaviest person that was there, and I was probably the most unfit. Now, I had been a gym bunny and I'd been a regular visitor to the gym, so I had really good muscle strength. Is that the word? I built up my muscle really well, but I had zero cardiovascular health before I started Body Slims. Basically, I had like tried to build it up a little bit in 3 weeks, and as if you can build up the stamina to, you know, keep up with people who've been doing this for years on the pier that day. What was I thinking? And I went so gung-ho that I pinched the cartilage in my knee. So that was a bit of a doozy. And basically my GP was like, well, first of all, the first thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to stop and rest. You're going to have to rest, and you're not going to be able to walk for a while. And I was like, what? But my whole thing, I thought like that was it. That was going to be the end of Body Slims for me. That was going to be the end of weight loss. And, you know, and one thing to remember is that exercise is only 20% of weight loss. You cannot out exercise a bad diet. That's really important to note. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? Like, that's it. Like, I was walking, you know, I had done those 3 walks, the walks for the 3 weeks. And something to say in those is that I did not have any form. I did not wear the insoles that my podiatrist had given me because of my plantar fasciitis. I thought I was better than that, and I knew better than a professional, and, you know, I don't need those insoles. I'm going to lose weight, therefore I don't need them in my runners. And yeah, I did not stretch afterwards. So those 3 things, no insoles, no form, and no stretching, then trying to go gung-ho and keep up with people, basically led me to pinch cartilage in my knee and to being on forced rest. So that wasn't great. That was exactly the opposite of what I wanted to do. And so I had to start from scratch again. My GP, very wise man, I'm sure you've heard me quote him before, but he said to me, you're going to have to rest now for 2 weeks, and then you're going to have to start again. And you're going to have to start to build up your cardiovascular strength. And something that he said to me made a lot of sense to me. He said, there's a very big difference between putting on your runners or putting on a pair of shoes and going for a walk around a park with a friend having a cup of coffee, or walking down to the shops to pick up a carton of milk, and going out for an hour cardiovascular workout. These things are 2 very different things. So you might not need form, insoles, and stretching for going down to get your carton of milk, but you need form, insoles, and stretching for your cardiovascular workout. And so he told me that I needed to start off with a 15-minute walk at the start and build up 5 minutes every week until I reached the hour. And that's what I had to do. And my gosh, was it a bitter pill to swallow. However, by doing that, I learned to get my proper form. My body was then aware of what it was supposed to do. My muscles built up muscle memory, and they were able to do the actions that were proper. I learned to stretch, and I went then from walking 3 kilometers in an hour to now I walk between 6.5 and 7 kilometers every single hour. And I now run, which is not part of weight loss. I do not recommend running for weight loss, because it is a different type of exercise that targets different energy sources. Walking targets your fat sources, and running targets a different source. So, but that's just an aside. You can look up gluconeogenesis if you want to learn about fat, if burning from fat. I then basically have gone from being a person who does not walk ever, and was the person who would park closest to the entrance of anything, to somebody who now on average will get between 13,000 and 20,000 steps every single day. I sometimes get up in the 25,000s, sometimes. Typically 13 is my lowest that I like to go. There's a couple of days where I'll be at 10. I will never be under 10. I like to get as many steps in as possible. Now, I thought what I would do is give a couple of tips and tricks and things that I've learned along the way, and then I'm going to get in and I'm going to show you how I walk and do actual stretches. I want to say here a very big disclaimer. I am not a professional. I am not a GP or a physiotherapist or a doctor. Please, if you have pain, if you are whatever your issue is, please consult them before embarking on walking, and don't do like me and, you know, go gung-ho and then, you know, injure yourself and then, you know, start back from scratch again. So That's just a little aside. But I now am somebody who walks for myself. I now need to walk. For me, my walk is no longer just about a methodology of helping me to burn my body fat reserves. Walking for me is for my head. It helps me to think things through. It helps me to clear out. There's actually, I saw a TikTok the other day about it. Is it EDM, or you know, the eye flicking therapy, and apparently when you're walking, you're noticing different things, especially if you're doing it outside, you're noticing different things, and it helps you to resolve things that you're thinking through. So for me, I know that if I am feeling down, or if I'm feeling anxious, or I'm trying to work something out in my head, I now choose to go for a walk over eating a slice of cake, because the walk is actually going to help me figure it out, whereas eating a slice of cake is going to make me feel worse. It might make me feel better for a couple of minutes, and then it's going to make me feel worse. So walking for me now is a non-negotiable. It is a huge part of my life. It is every part of my being. I love walking. So I think I might do another video about like more in depth about why I like walking so much and how it's helped me along the way. But I want to I'm already talking for 12 minutes and I've got a good bit of stretches to go. So I just want to get in a couple of tips and tricks for you guys if you want them. The first is to learn how to walk properly. Now, as I said, you're probably saying there going like, I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm 18, whatever age you might be. I don't have many 18-year-olds here, but you know, like the majority of you guys are in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and some of you in your 80s. I see you. And we think that we know how to walk properly because we've been doing it our entire lives. Until I watched a video that changed my life and realized I don't know how to walk properly. I have been pulling as opposed to pushing off, and I get into that more at the end of this video. And I'm also going to, if I can leave the link to the video up here, but I'll leave in the description box down below if I can't, to the video that I was like, holy moly, that makes a lot of sense. As I was saying earlier, that there is a massive difference. Number two is that there's a massive difference between walking with a friend and walking with, you know, for cardiovascular fitness. So if you have injuries, I had 2 bulging discs and plantar fasciitis when I started walking. You need to go and get the support of a physiotherapist or a podiatrist. Do not just start walking. You know, like maybe a stroll, that can be okay. But if you want to be consistent and you want to build up your strength and you want to do walking as part of your weight loss journey or wherever it might be, even for your mental health, you need to talk to a professional. That's really, really important. My other tip then is to start slow. Just as my doctor had informed me before, you need to start slow. If you have never walked consistently for a cardiovascular workout in your life, start with the 15 minutes and add 5 minutes then every single week until you reach an hour or however long that you want to walk. Yes, I walk for 1 hour every single day. I do not focus on my steps or my distance. I focus on 1 hour. That's the important part. And then I thought what I might do is give you a couple of tips about consistency and things that helped me to stay consistent with walking, because it is a commitment. Walking, I walk 1 hour every single day, minimum 1 hour every single day, no matter what, every single day. I'm not lying when I say this, it's every single day. Unless I am injured or there is a genuine reason why I cannot walk that day, I will walk 1 hour every single day. The only times that I didn't is when I was pregnant, when I physically could not because of low blood pressure, when I was recovering from my C-section, or if like I'm sick, you know, like, and genuinely sick, not like, you know, a sniffle, like a COVID or something like that, you know. My first tip is get out of hell before the devil knows you're dead. I am a morning person, as some of you might know. I like to walk at 5 a.m. in the morning. Now, I know that might seem ridiculous to some people, but there's a number of reasons why I do. But I like to get prepared the night before, get up, get in my stuff and walk out the door. If I wake up and I go feed the cats and I check on Instagram and I dilly-dally around and I la 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 la, and then like, oh no, I have to go for my walk now, I won't do it. I need to be up and out before the devil knows I'm dead, so that I get that done, get it finished, done, and it sets me up for the day. That's big tip for consistency number 1. Or maybe you attach it to another activity. Maybe it's you get home from work and you get in the door, you change immediately, dump your bag, and out you go again. It's about finding a way that makes you attach it onto another action, makes it easier to do. For me, the trigger is waking up. For you, maybe the trigger might be getting home from work, whatever it is. Make it work for you, but that's what works for me. There is no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing. You're not made of sugar. If it's raining, you won't melt. Now, I'm not talking about hurricanes in Florida like there are at the moment. If it is obviously dangerous for you to go outside, don't go outside. But if you're living in Ireland, you're probably fine. We might have the odd weather warning where honestly I'm like, is that necessary? I've walked on the seafront with horizontal wind coming at me, horizontal rain coming at me with the wind, with my hood flapping on my face like a dead fish or a fish out of water, just being like on my face. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? The reason I'm doing this to myself is because I believe in myself and I like to show up for myself. And when I get home and I get my hot shower afterwards and I'm like, yes, I did that. Built up my belief in myself that I can do this. You find clothes, you find whatever's appropriate, and I will make a video about what I recommend for going out for walking and things that have helped me. Another bit and tip is to walk with your arms up. If you see me out walking, I will always be walking like this. Now there's a couple of reasons for that. One is it helps with momentum. So walking like this, like a runner does, you don't see runners, many runners anyway, I've seen a few, but you don't see them like this, up with your arms up, swinging your arms, opposite leg. You'll see me talk about this at the end. And the reason for that is it helps to build momentum. I am faster when I'm doing that. I'm not adding that extra weight around here. My hips are doing all the work. So we want to help them out by building that momentum. Also, it helps to develop our collarbones. Ladies, do you feel me? It helps to tone up this whole area, helps to tone my underarms and things like that. So that's just a nice tip. Or you can throw on an old weight on your arm. I don't recommend doing that until you have reached goal weight, just for an FYI. Right, for consistency, one of the big things that I do is I map my route, and then as soon as I have completed that within 1 hour, I increase it. So for me, as I have said, 1 hour is my goal every single day. Now my distance has changed dramatically since the start of my weight loss journey. So between 2.5 and 3 kilometers, I'm sorry, I don't know what that is in miles at the start. And then now I walk between 5.5 and 7 kilometers in an hour. That's a big difference. And pre-pregnancy, I was up around the 7 and a bit. So I still have to get back up to that. So that's to show you how fast I can now walk within that hour. And that leads me on to my next tip, is to play high tempo music. Now I know this might seem really strange and a bit kind of arbitrary, but I know for me that if I'm listening to a podcast, I am absorbed in that podcast, which is fantastic, but I'm not walking as fast as if I'm playing my 90s dance, my house music. I need that in order to get my speed up, and I will play that. And that really helps me. Anytime I'm in body sim cycle, I like to try and increase my cardiovascular fitness. So I will in a body sim cycle, and I'm in one at the moment, so I'm listening to that high tempo music. I have a playlist. I'll leave it in the description box down below. It's a Spotify playlist full of 90s and 2000s dance and a few cheesy tracks and a few things to get you moving. And I know there are many of you who follow that playlist and listen to that. So I highly recommend giving it a go. Another tip is just when you're coming to mapping your route, it might be helpful if you are the type of person who feels that you could be like easily led, or like the little voice in your head might go, the little id might go like, you know what, we don't have to go that far today. I would recommend when you're mapping your route to not go past your house halfway through it or anything like that, so it wouldn't be easy to go home. Some people I know find it's easiest to go half an hour out, half an hour back, and then your out might increase as you go and you get more physically fit. So just like sometimes it's easier to like remove the temptation of being able to go home really quickly. My second last tip before I get in and show you how I walk in stretches is, guys, if you are in pain, rest. Because if you are in genuine pain, now I'm not talking about like a few aches and pains. If you are in pain, then you need to rest, because it's only going to get worse if you continue on. And like me, I was in pain, I continued on, I pinched the cartilage in my knee, and I had to restart from the start, and you don't want to do that. It's really annoying. So if you are in pain, rest for a day, see how you are. If you might need another day, you might need to see a physiotherapist or your GP or something like that. So just Rest if you're in genuine pain. Don't push through, because you're actually going to end up doing further damage to yourself, and you're going to end up having to take forced rest for longer. Another one, sorry, I had two actually, one is safety. So guys, I walk at 5 a.m. in the morning in the dark. Please make sure that somebody knows where you are. Only walk with one headphone in. If you're walking with headphones, try and walk in well-lit areas. If you're on main roads, avoid back roads and that kind of thing. For me, I'm going to talk further and more about this in later videos, but I just don't want to, but like, try and be safe. And guys, my last point for tips to make you consistent, and for tips and tricks about walking, and this is probably one of the most important ones, is to stretch. You need to stretch after you walk. Walking as a cardiovascular fitness is the same as running, or as dancing, or as whatever it might be, like, you know, like anything. It is a cardiovascular exercise. You need to stretch after. You stretch in the gym, you need to stretch after you use the muscles in your body. And I'm going to be talking about the stretches further, but this really helps the consistency, because it stops you feeling really terrible the next day, getting any of those delayed onset muscle soreness, the DOMS. It really helps with your body to be able to get up the next day. It prevents injuries, and it's so important. It's so important, because stretching for me changed my walking game. Knowing my form and stretching were the two most important things that helped me with walking. I will get into the stretches next, but please stretch. It's so important. Guys, I'm gonna hop right in now, and I'm gonna show you how I walk and the stretches as well. These stretches were approved by a sports scientist. I used to work with sports scientists in my day job, and they were fantastic, and they've approved them. They're like, but please, if you do need any assistance or anything like that, please consult your physiotherapist or your allied healthcare professional, whomever it might be. I personally am not a professional. These are what work for me. Okay, let's get into it. I'm just going to show you a couple of stretches now that I do every single day after I walk, and I honestly believe that this is what really helped me to stay consistent when I was walking, but it also helped me to avoid any injuries, and therefore helping you to stay consistent. But by stretching out, I was able then to get up the next morning and not feel really stiff and really tight. And I know that a couple of these stretches were the reason that I didn't injure myself again, because I did injure myself at the very start of my weight loss journey by walking and then not stretching. Basically my calves and everything just tightened, and I pinched the cartilage of my knee in the end. It's also freezing. You're gonna have to bear with me. Hopefully you can hear me properly. I don't have a dead cat yet for my camera, but I'll get one soon. But I thought I'd just show you these stretches anyway. Also, these really help me with plantar fasciitis, which I know a lot of people have trouble with. I basically walked and stretched the plantar fasciitis out of me. Just a disclaimer, I am not a medical professional, I am not a physiotherapist. However, I have had these stretches checked by a sports scientist just to make sure that they are okay. So without further ado, I'm going to get into them. The first thing I'm going to do is, every time that I finish, so I always use some kind of stoop or step straight outside of my house. I like to stretch immediately when I get home so that I don't forget or don't not do it. Anyway, so the first thing I'm going to do is stretch out my legs. So I'm always put my leg up onto the platform. You can also adapt these, and you can do them in like at home or on the floor or something like that. But I just like to use a stoop or a step or a little wall outside your house. So I've got my knee up, and basically what I'm going to do now is lean forward, and this is going to help kind of stretch out my whole hip area. It's also going to stretch out the back of my leg a bit, and when you feel this, you can really kind of feel everything like opening up and relaxing. What you want to make sure is that your knee here does not go over your toe. That's how you can cause injury. So you're just stretching that out, leaning into it a little bit. It's going to help as well with the front of your opposite hip, the hip that is, or the leg that's straight down. It's going to really help with that. So that's the first stretch that I do. Then I move on, and I'm going to get the back of my leg. So I straighten out this leg, and I get my heel up, and I move it as close as I can towards my face. And that's going to start stretching out my calf. And that's a lovely, like, especially for anybody with plantar fasciitis, that's really going to help stretch you out. And then to get into my hamstring a bit more, I'm going to lean over.
And what you can do is put your hand down and take your opposite hand to the one that the leg is straight, and you're going to lean over. That's going to help stretch out the side of your body, and it's also going to give you a further stretch on the back of your hamstring. If you want to go a little bit further, and maybe depending on the height of your wall, you can also bend your straight knee. Again, wanting to make sure that your knee never goes over your toe. So that's really going to stretch into that hamstring and help loosen it up. Then I'm going to bring my knee back to the neutral position, and I'm going to move my foot in a tiny little bit, so a little hop in. And now I want to start stretching out my back and the outside of my legs. So I'm going to take the opposite hand to what's up on the table or up on the shelf or wall, and I'm going to put my elbow towards my knee, and I'm going to stretch and look back over my shoulder. And that really helps to stretch out my whole back. You can also just grab your hand and do the same thing, looking over your back, over the shoulder. Don't forget to breathe when you're doing this as well. And then I'm going to come around the other side. So maybe babe, if you could come here for a sec. So I'm going to stretch the inside of my leg now and kind of my groin area. So I'm going to take the elbow of what's up on the platform, and I'm going to, that's okay buddy, I'm going to push, and I'm going to push in like this into almost like a prayer position. And this is really helps stretch out the inside of your leg. It's such a lovely feeling. You want to hold each of these stretches for about 5 to 10 seconds, and you can kind of work up as well to holding them for longer. 30 seconds I think is the ideal, but don't quote me on that. Then one of the last stretches I'm going to do with my leg raised, second last, is I'm going to grab my hands and intertwine them, bring them around my knee, and I'm going to lift my knee into my body. Make sure you hold your core in for stability so that you can stand up straight. This really helps with your hips and your groin. And then I'm going to bring this leg out, and I'm going to put it behind me, and I'm going to stretch out my hamstring a little bit more and my calf. What you want to do is work towards getting that back heel onto the ground. That's really going to stretch out your calf. Again, you're being mindful of the front here and your knee not going over your foot in the front here. So you're bending, but you're making sure that you're in line. Keep it nice and straight as well. And you're going to feel that lovely stretch. It feels really, really good. I'm going to come back to a neutral position. Now I'm going to show you 2 different quad stretches that I do. So it depends on your ability and how you find your balance. The first is for people who feel that their balance is quite good. So you're standing with your feet just about hip width apart, and you're going to lift up your leg. You're leaning your body weight onto the standing leg. Lift it up, and you're going to grab your toe, and you want to pull your toe up towards the sky. So your knee is in line with your other knee, making sure you got that core, you got your core engaged so that you don't fall over, and you're getting that lovely stretch into your hip. If you feel that you need a little bit more, you can kind of almost like push your hip bone forward just a tiny bit, and that kind of helps to feel that stretch a bit more. Now, if you feel that you're not able to do that, I was not able to do that at the start. I was not able to grab my leg from behind. I did too much behind going on, so I couldn't get to it. An easy one to do then is we're going to use our step again, always making sure that you're engaging your core for your stability, and you're going to lift your leg up onto the platform, and you're going to basically do exactly the same. Now I can see here that my knee is not aligned with my other knee, so I need to hop out a little bit. Of course, you can just stand yourself in the first place better, but basically this is going to give you a similar type of stretch. If you feel you're not getting the stretch enough, again, making sure your back, your shoulders are straight, your back is straight, and you're kind of pushing your bum. You're not pushing this way, but you're just pushing out a little bit so you're in line here, and that will help stretch out your quad. So that's our final. So you're stretching out your calf, you're stretching out your quad, and now the final one that I love to do, use for your legs and the bottom half of your body, is to pop up your leg again onto your stand or your wall or whatever it might be, or your bench. Have your knee bent, and this is something you could do on the ground as well. You could sit like just with your feet together on the ground, but it's far too cold and damp to do that now. So I've got my knee in kind of like a half diamond shape, and I'm just going to lean over. And this is my favorite stretch. This feels so good on the outside of my quad, hamstring, kind of the outside of my leg. Just really helps to stretch out your glutes, and it just feels really lovely, especially if you're walking properly. And I know that I've linked the video as well to ensure that you're walking properly. And then that's it. That's the end of your stretches for your legs. But then I also like to finish off with one really nice one for yourself. So maybe we might come back this way. And I always do this every morning to the whichever direction the sun is going, if I'm lucky enough to have the sun, because a lot of the times I'm walking in the dark. But whatever way the sun is going, it's almost like a sun salutation for me. So your legs are hip width apart, and you're just going to raise up your arms, raise up, stretch, 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 and then interchange my fingers, and I lean over to one side. I'm not leaning like this, I'm stretching and tilting, so all the movement is coming from my rib cage. Oh, that feels so good. Stretching back up again. You can push your fingers, your hands outwards, and then over again. Oh, that feels so good. And then one final down for yourself. Stretching all the way down. That's going to be nice on your back. It's going to be nice on your hamstrings. Keeping your legs kind of straight, slight bend in them. And then slowly raise back up. And then you're ready to start your day after your long walk. Please try and stretch, even get a couple of these in every single time that you do your walk. You will see such a massive difference. It made all the difference to me, and I know any day that I skip it, if I'm late or I have to run or something like that, I know that I really feel it the next morning. It really helps just loosen you out, especially in a really good start to the day. So I hope you guys enjoy that, and I'll show you a couple of other tips as we go. So I'm just going to show you a couple of bits of form that might help with your walking. I did not know how to walk beforehand. I had absolutely no idea, and these things really helped me. So the first thing you want to do is make sure your shoulders are back and straight. They're nice and lined, so you're not leaning forward, you're nice and back. You've got your core engaged, your hips are aligned with your body, and when you're walking, you want to make sure that your chin is tucked in and you're leading with your nose, not your chin. When we walk, we push off as opposed to pulling. So you want to push off with your bum of the opposite leg. So you're pushing out. I know it looks really weird. And it's really weird. The first couple of times you do it, you're like, what am I doing? But it really does help. It makes all the difference. So pushing out. And you want to make sure that you're standing straight when you're walking. You want to make sure you're standing straight when you're walking, shoulders back. You're not leaning forward. You need to keep that like a really nice alignment in your body, leading with your nose, not your chin. So leading with your nose so your neck is in line. And then we just walk, pushing off, and we walk. And you might notice when you've seen me walk in the past that I walk with my arms up, I walk with my arms up. There's two reasons behind that. One is that it really helps to build momentum by walking. So you're going the opposite arm. I'm going to walk toward you. So you're pushing off, and it's the opposite arm to leg movement. The reason is it helps with momentum. It really helps kind of build and tone all of this area. And also I believe that's where my collarbones came from, and we all love collarbone. I know ladies, you feel me. So I'm going to just do a couple of walks back and forth so you can see, and then we're going to go outside because it's freezing.
Guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video on walking and how I walked myself to 180-pound weight loss. Walking for me is everything now. You guys see me, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I'm out every single morning, and sometimes if I'm not out in the morning or I've forgotten to say something to camera on my stories, you guys are like, are you okay? You're very good. So I will love you and leave you. Please leave me I think there's a walking emoji, isn't there? Leave me a walking emoji down in the comments down below. I love when you guys as well, if I don't ask you to leave an emoji, you're like, what emoji do we leave? I love you guys. Thank you so much, and don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. I will love you and leave you and talk to you very soon. Bye guys.